everybody that's listening. Welcome to Rock and Recovery. I'm your host, Jay. Today we've got a special guest named Matthew Thompson out of Louisiana. We're going to talk about how his life went down into addiction, down the dark hole, and how he's recovered and making an effort to better his life daily. Again, like and subscribe. This is Jay, and here we go. Hey, what's going on, Matt? How's it going?
How you doing, Mr. J?
Well, just welcome to Rock and Recovery. I just want to let everybody know this is Rock and Recovery, where we talk about mental health and addiction and the effects and what it's done in our life. So thank you for being a guest. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be a guest. And we're just going to go right into, I'm going to ask you the first question is, how are you doing today?
So today, to be brutally honest, in my recovery, it's a struggle, but it's maintainable. You know, it's learning a lot about who Matthew truly is, you know, and working the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous to find the root of the problem, you know, and where it started, where it began, and what led me to where I was at in my addiction, and what led me to make the choices of who I was and where I'm at today in recovery.
That's an awesome thing. And then my next question is going to be, how did you get into addiction?
So I was led through a lot of torture and sexual assault when I was a kid by a parent. And I'm not going to get too deep into it, but it was misled like a motherfucker, you know. Like I thought it was my fault. Let me just throw it out there. I thought it was my fault, the reason why everything was happening. You know, I thought it was my fault why my siblings couldn't be protected from this. I thought it was my fault that we was being misused and mistreated, you know, and it led up to when I was the age of 13. This happened, let me throw this out there, from the age of 5 till I was 10. So for 5 years straight. And I turned 13 years old and I went to a party, and somebody told me that this would hide me from all of my pains in life, everything that I dwelled on, everything that was like really deeply hurting me, and the thoughts and everything. And I was given you know, heroin. And I started off by snorting it, and then it became an addiction through IV use from the age of 13 to a year and 2 days ago.
A
And
year and 2 days ago. I'm proud of you for that. That year and 2 days. That first year is tough, bro. I mean,
yeah,
how many times did you try to get sober before that?
26 times.
26 times?
Yes, sir.
Damn. Now, I know there's a relapse isn't a part of everybody's story, but it is a part of a lot of people's story. How did you overcome that relapse? How did you overcome and decide, well, you know what? This time it's going to stick.
It was like I come to a point in life where the pain outweighed the pleasure, if you understand what I'm saying.
I
Like
do.
I lost my wife and myself along the way. You know, I got put out my house and told I could not fucking live here anymore. You know, and even when I went to treatment after 4 months of being on the streets and living homeless with just the shirt on my back, the pants and the boxes that I wore for 4 months straight without even a fucking bath, eating out the dumpsters and people's trash cans. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I was one of them addicts, you know, going into bathrooms at gas stations and shooting up toilet water, you know, just to feel the high. And it got to a point where the fucking pain outweighed the pleasure. And I made the decision myself to go to treatment, but still when I got to treatment, I didn't I wasn't willing to live this life. I didn't know if this is the life I wanted to live, to be real with you. Like I didn't expect the change, you know, like I didn't expect it to work the way it's working one day at a time, you know. but it was when I had to really come to terms and be true to thine own self. What is it that I really want in life? What is it that I want to be known as in life, not only from my kids and my wife, but society in itself, you know? And that's things that I still dig deep into today to see what it is that I want my legacy to be, you know? And I told the people at the treatment center, and when I got there, I said, man, I just want a cigarette and you guys to call me a fucking Uber. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go back. And like the nurse asked me, she says, what are you gonna tell your wife and your kids? I said, I'll figure that along the way. I said, but I need a fucking Uber and a cigarette, you know? And they said no.
Right.
And I told them, I said, regardless if I gotta walk or not, I'm gone. You know, let me get a cigarette. And when I walked out the treatment center and got to the end of the pavilion, it was the cover of the walkway. I fell out and caught 3 seizures, you know, back to back. And they brought me to the hospital. And even when I got to the hospital, I wasn't going back to that treatment center. I told the doctor, look, I don't know what you got to do, but take the shit out of me. I'm leaving. And I started pulling the IV out and the fluids that they were shooting up in me to get me right. And I told him I was leaving. He says, I suggest you not do that. And I said, well, I suggest you let me go. And he was like, that's not a good idea. And
Yeah.
I wasn't hearing it. I didn't give a fuck, you know, like I wanted to go back to what I was comfortable doing, you know, and it hid me from everything in life, you know. But it was that point when the doctor asked me the same question that the nurse asked me and was like, why do you don't just give it a chance? And I told him I'd give him 2 days. I'll
Hmm.
give you 2 days.
Right.
I'll give you 2 days. If nothing changes in 2 days, I'm gone.
You know, I couldn't string 2 days together in the height of my addiction. I couldn't string 2 days together. I mean, through prison, through all the freaking, I've never been to a recovery center. I've never been to a detox. I was addicted to the high-speed chicken feed, better known as M3TH. For those that you know, the know. I was an IV user, and I lost a lot. And through all that time, all of the time that I was losing things, having to start over in prison, not once did I ever think about what would life be like if I just didn't use, because I was so wrapped up in numbing. I was so wrapped up in escaping. I was so wrapped up into not feeling a damn thing that, it didn't matter who I hurt, what I did, as long as I could not feel anything, we were good.
Facts. I didn't care about nobody around me. Let me throw it out
No.
there. As long as I got what I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it, I could care less about anybody else around me. Who are you? You know,
Yeah.
like that's really how I looked at it. Who the fuck are you? I need what I need. I don't care about you, you know. And that's big facts, you know, and that's big facts. And it it was insanely but crazy that I looked at life like that. I look at life totally different today. Let me just throw that in. We'll get to that. But and that's real shit. Like my IQ, not perfect. I'm from fucking perfect, but it's progress, perfection. You know,
Right.
spiritual progress.
So I know you touched on the program that you work. I'm guessing that it's probably an NA program.
Yes, sir. I do work the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous.
How far have you gone in that? Have you done all your 12 steps yet, or have you? Are how
Well,
many times have you done them? If you've done them,
I've done the steps in AA. I started this program in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I've worked the steps over there. But I had sponsees too, you know, and I had to pass the sponsees along to a member of AA, and I now work the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm actually on step 4 with Narcotics Anonymous, and it's a different point of view now, you know, like it's different every time I did them, but like this go around, it's like, how deep am I willing to really dig to find out more about who I really am and the damage that I have caused in life? Because at the end of the day, you know, I got a big part in this. I got a big part from the choices I made in life. And what is it that I'm still fearful of? What is it that still drives my ego? What is it that I'm still trying to control out of self-will? What is it that I'm not allowing my higher power to take the wheel? Like these things play a factor in my recovery today. And as I go along these steps with the sponsor that I have an awesome sponsor, man. But he does have points in our relationship as sponsorship where I don't fucking like him because he'll ruffle my feathers or tell me quit
Yeah,
whining or this and that, but I'm not here to he's not here for me to fucking like who he is. I need this. I'm that addict that has to be put in check, I'm that fucking addict that has to take all responsibility and accountability of my fucking wrongs in life. And if I got a sponsor sitting over here telling me here's a diaper and a fucking bottle of milk, just continue doing what you're doing, then what program am I working? You know,
exactly. I 100% agree with you. It's an open and honest program. What you hold to yourself is what you hold to yourself, but if you're holding everybody else to be having integrity, being open, being honest, taking accountability, then when and how are you going to hold if you can't do that for yourself, how are you supposed to do it for somebody else? And
facts.
we were just talking about the steps. What was the hardest part about realizing and doing some step work? What's the hardest part about escaping and not facing everything and then to turn around and start facing things? What was your hardest part? What's the hardest part that you've realized so far?
Not seeing that I'm the fucking problem.
There's this great
Wanting to,
this quote that says, "Wherever you go, there you're at.
you
Wherever you
know,
go, there
that,
you're at."
it's
We're escaping
facts.
from everything as addicts. We're escaping from everything, but wherever we go, there we're at. We're always trying to escape from ourselves. We're
Right.
trying to
You
escape and
know,
run from ourselves.
look at this. Look at this. Mr. J. And I'm going to say this plain as day. It's so easy for me to play the blame game and say, look what they're doing to me. I got to justify what's going on in my life. I got to show you what I'm doing, this, and that. But in reality, I'm to believe that actions do speak words. It's not what I could prove to you in living.
We got some technical difficulty with Matt on his phone right now. He's froze on my screen, but he's coming back. Here he comes. So you broke up a little bit on that last on that last
So
uh
I can, like, I'm gonna reset it. I could play the blame game. I can justify. I can look what I'm doing in life, this, and that, but at the end of the day, it's about the actions meeting my feet. It's about how I'm living today, not what I could prove to anybody.
Absolutely. That's a fact. And another thing is, I know the roads that we have gone down, having the harm that we've done to others, the harms that we've done to ourselves. How do you get over that?
You want me to okay, yes. You can hear
What's
me?
that? Okay, I
I
can hear
said
you now.
you want me to be honest with you or blow smoke up your ass?
Be honest.
I'm still learning how to get over that. I'm still learning that in my recovery, how to let things go, how to let bygones be bygones. That's one thing I'm learning in my recovery today is the willingness to let my higher power take all control and do his work in my life, and accepting it for what it is instead of for what I want it to be.
And what does that look like for you?
It's a work in progress. It's hard. It really is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. It's fucking hard because I feel like everybody should just hear me out, everybody should just listen to my side of the story, but there's there's a bigger factor in there, and it's this thing called irrational thinking, or delusions. I'm a recovering addict, an alcoholic. I never once thought that I would be a perfect person in life. Like, I always knew that I was a fuck up from a fuck up from a fuck up. But what this fuck up does today to change my life is what really sets the legacy in life today.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. When we realize that we are the problem, and as long as we're working on bettering ourselves and not harming another person, I think that's where the key work comes in. I am not an expert. I have done the steps, not the 12 steps, but I worked Celebrate Recovery. I worked the steps through Celebrate Recovery. I have and will continue to work the steps through Celebrate Recovery because I believe in my higher power, and it's Jesus Christ. And that being said, I know my program was also based on the steps of AA and NA. So they're overlapping with similarities, maybe a little bit of difference in the big book, y'all's big book, and my Celebrate Recovery book. There's a little bit of difference. And I know this, that when we come to accept a power greater than us, which in my case is Jesus Christ, and you turn your life and your will over to him, and you go through the fourth step, uh, take your fearless moral inventory, and then you speak it out loud, your fifth step. I mean, once you get past the fifth step, things do lighten up a little bit. Yes, you're still working on your character defects. Yes, you're still working on your flaws. And I'm telling you, we've all got them. We've all got them. I've got them. You've got them. Anybody that's listening, we've all got character defects. We lash out. We get angry. We do all these other things. And during my walk, my recovery, I can tell you that the people I hurt most were the people closest to me. Is that the same with you?
Man, I've heard everybody around me, bro. Most importantly, like, the narcissist I was, the manipulation, the control freak that I was to my wife to just get my way, like, manipulation in the fullest of her believing her lies as a truth because of the control of me doing that to her. You know, not only the manipulation to them, it was the manipulation to myself, like manipulating myself to believing that that was the okay thing to do, like that. These are things I'm finding out in my recovery today, that manipulation started within before it arose and a ripple effect to everybody around me. Like, I would manipulate myself in the fact of the wrongdoing that I was doing was right. It was
Yeah,
okay,
that is a big when we start lying to ourselves and saying what we're doing is wrong or right. I think that we have a tendency to hurt people when, especially if they see it in a different light, or especially if they might be the victim, even if it's accountability. Let's take accountability, for instance. If you're being accountable to yourself, if you're being accountable to an accountability partner or your sponsor or your program, because the room becomes your accountability partner. The rooms, your home team, your home group, they become your accountability partner as well. If it's a good group, they're going to hold you accountable. And I think when you build that connection going through the steps, you see, I did it with a group of 7 guys, I think it was. 7 guys. I did it with a group of 7 guys, and we became more like brothers than anything else. And I'll tell you, uh, I can go to any of them and they would be able to come to me and I can hear their feedback and they could give me and I could give them feedback and not have to worry about the repercussions of it. And when you start building connections like that, it's more important than any other connection that you'll ever have as uh, the fake friends that we have. We lose everything. So the fake friends that we have, the situations that we were in. I don't know if this is the same way for you, if you've experienced the same thing or not. But
Look,
once you get more progressed in your sobriety, in your recovery, you are less likely to continue the character defects. I don't know. That's just my. I just find it that for me.
look, I'm gonna speak on that on me, like where people's holding me accountable in my recovery today and like telling me like, look, I see this, I see that. I think they're plotting on me most of the time. Like I'm gonna be real. It's in my head, like, what? What are you gonna do to me next? Out of everything that's going on in my life today, and I'm not gonna speak on it, but it's a lot of cyberbullying and things like that that's going on, and I think everybody around me's plotting on me. That's what my head tells me. And everybody's plotting on me. But really, when it's broke down into, I call them dummy terms, you know, it's like, no, we're holding you accountable and we're sitting here letting you know what it is that we see that you need to work on instead of trying to like just run away from it. And that's my sponsor that does it with me. And like my sponsor, he gives it to me how the fuck I need it. He don't sugarcoat nothing. When we're in sponsorship, we're in sponsorship. This is what it is. This is what I suggest, this and that. And then when it comes to friendship after that, it'll be a whole different personality. It's a whole different type of conversation, you know.
I
It's
know we
not
talked. I'm sorry for cutting you off there. I know we talked earlier about you chasing that numb feeling, chasing that emptiness, just feeling empty, not feeling worth it, not feeling enough. What effects did that have on your life?
a lot because I felt like a burden my whole life. I felt like I was unlovable. I felt like a piece of shit. I felt like I was going to be a fuck up my whole life. There was times, look, and I'm going to throw it to you like this. I got into my first 3 months of recovery working the AA program, and I wanted to off myself 3 different times because I felt like my wife and my kids can live her life without me here. But it was the work of a support system, and it was the guidance from a sponsor and accountability partners and a sober circle that sat by my side through it all and said, what would you think they would feel like if you did that? Do you think it would help them or make them worse? And I had to I had to understand that it wouldn't have did no better. It wouldn't it would have made them mentally messed up more, like uh yeah, I couldn't imagine what it would have made them feel like. I just know the people that I have in my life today, my wife, my kids, and the friends and the family that I do have in my life today, they enlighten me on the good that I do and tell me that they're proud of me daily. That's something I've never heard in life until I got into recovery. I've never once heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm proud of you. You're doing good things." I didn't know what that was, you know, to being in recovery today, to having a support system all over the United States, not just in Louisiana, all over the United States,
What
you know.
decided? What was the deciding factor for you to get and remain sober? I mean, I know you did a lot of prison time, you did street time, you're on the streets. None of that deterred you. So what was the deciding factor this time?
The joy in my wife and my kids' eyes. I'm just going to give it to you like I see it. The joy that I see in my wife and my kids' eyes when they wake up every day and see me present in their life, something I get to do today. And don't have to worry about calling 911 or running the streets looking for me. You know, that motivates me to stay doing what I'm doing today. Most importantly, I can love myself today. I can love myself today. When I look in the mirror and I look in the mirror and I don't see what I'm supposed to see yet, at the end of the day, I still love who I am and who I'm becoming, you know, and it's the unconditional love from the people around me that keeps me motivated and inspired to keep doing what I'm doing no matter what.
I like that answer. How hard was it to face uh, situations, uncontrollable situations? How hard is it to face those situations, whether it be from people, places, things, whatever? How hard is it for you to face that now without reverting into what you used to do instead of what you're doing now? How hard is it when you get negative feedback or just negative people in your life to not relapse in anger or in action, not what necessarily with the substance, but not relapse in action or anger or the way you used to do things? How hard is that for you, and how do you work through that?
It's fucking hard. I'm just going to say it straight like that. It's hard. And a lot of phone calls to my sponsor and a support network, you know, like, because that's what's going on in my life today. You know, it's a lot of cyberbullying and a lot of negative feedback behind what I'm doing in my recovery and with the community that I have at Recovery Safe Spot on TikTok. And it's now a legal organization called Safe Recovery, where I could do mission work and outreach and things like that. And I can motivational speak at schools and stuff too. There's a lot of things that I could do with it. But the negative feedback, it's hard to hold back. And the feeling of slapping the fuck out of somebody, that is a hard thing to let go of, you know, because it's like you don't know who the fuck you fucking with. You don't know what I can do. You don't know how I can do it. You don't know none of this about me, you know. But reality is that two wrongs don't make a right. No matter how much it hurts my feelings, no matter how much I cry behind it, because it does hurt my feelings and it's a very mental game and mentally draining. I keep pushing forward because I look at the blessings that's already happened for me, the mountains that have been moved in my recovery in this last year, the doors that closed and opened, you know, the success that I have already, you know, that's what keeps me from doing it. Because I can lose all that in a matter of seconds if I handled it my way. I will diminish everything in a matter of seconds if I was to handle it the way that I feel I should handle it, instead of trusting the process, my higher power, and living this structured life that I live today in the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I got a life because of this program, man. Like, I do. I have a life today because of this.
So going forward, so after you got out of prison, how long did it take you after you got out of prison to start getting sober?
I got off of 15 years of federal paper after going in and out, February 19th of 2025.
So you didn't do it all together at one time?
No,
Okay.
I did a long stint at one time. Yes, I did. I did 8 years off a 12-year sentence and did the rest on parole. And it was a 27-year sentence total. And I had to do a lot of it before I got out.
I
Did
have
8
a
years.
I have a viewer in the comment that would like to know how do steps 3 and 7 relate to each other?
How do steps 3 and 7 relate to each other? So 3 is coming to the understanding of me and my higher power to my understanding. It's believing in a higher power to the understand the as I understand it. All right. And step 7 is no different than it. It's giving my will and my life over to the care of God, you know? It's believing that God's gonna remove the shortcomings and he's gonna as and let me throw this out, as the shortcomings come up, I have to be willing to give them over. If I give them over and I pick them right back up, where is me living God's will at? That's still me controlling the situation and living under my own will.
So for Celebrate Recovery, it's almost the same thing. It's turning your life, your life's becoming manageable and you're willing to believe in a higher power and turn your life over to a higher power. And the step 7 is the same thing. And CR is that you've made a conscious effort to turn your life and will over to God and believe that He's going to take care of work on you, your character defects and
But it says
whatever the case may be.
It's a
But
practice.
my personal belief on the two. Now, in step 3, I've always had God. I just turned my back on Him, and it wasn't until I made an effort to admit that until I recognized it in myself that my life was unmanageable and I couldn't do it, then there was never going to be any type of turning my life over to God because I always thought that I was my own God. I was in control of my life, that I was, the driver of this car, and it wasn't until the basic saying, let go, let God. And when no one
I can
answers,
still Jay, I could still do that in my recovery. I could still feel like I could control that will and God, I could do it with him in my recovery. It's the surrender daily that I have to do daily. If it's 3, 4 times a day to trust and believe.
yeah. And there's times that I think we have all come out of uh what I spelled prayer wrong. Okay, I didn't spell prayer. I'm responding to a person in my comments. I didn't spell prayer, but you know, uh, uh, however, back to what I was saying is like you were just saying, you have to make a daily conscious effort to turn your life daily over to the will of God. And yeah, somebody asked, what happens when no one answers? The answer's in the actions. The answer's in
Facts.
the day-to-day actions and interactions. The answer's in maybe the people you come into contact with that have noticed. For me, anyway, uh, that's the action. That's the answer. The answer is that I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still not an addict. I'm still an addict, but I'm a recovering one. The answer is when when you don't hear the answer, look in the mirror. There's the answer.
Facts. It's people around me too. Like I feel, and this is just my belief, I feel that the people that are around me in life is the message that God's sending to me, the things. Now, look, there's lessons in negativity and positivity. There's lessons in both. But, I feel the people around me are the vessel of God that is speaking to me to show me what it is that I need to work on as them being mirrors, because if I spot it, I got it. Am I lying? If I spot it, I got it. Because just where I'm spotting something in one person, I'm pointing one finger at them, there's 3 fingers pointing back at that I have to work on 3 times more than what I'm spotting in them people.
I agree. It's hard to realize that when you are talking to people that you might not agree with, and you do come out of you do let your the habit of reacting instead of responding happen all the when that happens, it's because there's something in you that you're mad at still. I absolutely 100% agree with that. And
Like, yeah, because I'm quick. I could be quick to react than respond. Responding's for me. Halting,
right, hungry, angry,
reacting.
lonely, tired. Yeah,
That's. You know, reacting is me feeling like I feel like I have to show them what it is. You know, reacting is like I feel like I have something to prove. You know, at the end of the day, I don't have nothing to prove. Just be who I am.
there you go. And so now that you've gotten out of prison, how long did it take you to get sober?
Fuck. Fucking. I got sober July 12th of 2025. I got off of federal paper after going in on violations, doing a reentry program, this and that, pushing the time back, pushing the time back. You know, uh, July 12th of 2025, I got clean. I got off of federal paper February 19th of 2025. So basically, my whole life, bro.
Okay. So you got out of prison when in 22 or 25?
I got out of. I went in when I was 17. I got out when I was 25.
Oh, when you were 25.
When I was
So this
25
last
years old, I
so
got out.
and you just got off paper?
February 19th of 2025. I got off 2 years early.
Okay, fuck yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome. And since that day that you got off paper, you've been clean and sober?
July 12th, I got clean and been clean since.
That's fucking amazing right there. That's and have you been doing work ever since that day, or what have you done since life after prison? What does that look like for you?
I've been working the 12 steps since I started my recovery. I started in AA, like I said earlier, and I swapped fellowships to NA. Like like a month and a half ago, I swapped to NA. But it's hard for me to find a job. Like I put in applications every freaking day, 3 to 10 applications. I got a phone call from
Like,
a lawn care company and ain't hear back from them yet. But I just started an organization called Safe Recovery, and it's a legal, legitimate organization, and it is where I could do outreach, motivational speaking, like I just said. So I got see in life, I feel like I need these things to happen when they need to happen, how they need to happen. But I fail to realize that there's something bigger planned for me. You know, I don't want to see that at the time because I want it to happen because I got kids and a wife to take care of and help pay bills and this and that, but maybe it's my higher power telling me, be patient. I have something more better planned for you, you know. And I started this process with the organization that I just got completed yesterday and signed the final piece of paperwork and like can start doing it now. I started that 2 months ago. And it's done. It's ready to go. I can start doing the work with it now. Doing outreach, going to schools and speaking, whatever it is that I want to do with it. And I am the president and the founder of it. I don't have no members yet. Let me say that yet. But I am the only person on there right now. And whoever comes along with me could come along with me and work in the streets with me or do whatever it is that we do. But I do have a legal, legitimate organization now called Safe Recovery, and it covers the platforms that I have with TikTok and Facebook to work all recovery safe spot.
So that's what you do.
It's
Is so
trade.
recovery safe spot.
Is what I do on TikTok. Safe recovery is what I do in the streets. No, it's not harm reduction. None of that. I don't have nothing against harm reduction and stuff, but the program that I work, I have to be complete abstinence of all things. I don't judge nobody for their recovery walk, none of that. But I speak on the complete abstinence of recovery, because how could you be rigorous, honest with yourself if you're not completely abstinence?
I 100% agree. So Matt, we're going to end this real quick. I'm proud of the works that you're doing and the work that you continue to do. What's one thing that you want everybody to take away from this? If you had one thing to share, what's the one thing that you want everybody to take away from this?
Look, I'm not perfect. I work a program of progress, not perfection. You know, I just needed the desire and the willingness to change my life.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, taking the time out to come on your show, come on this show. It's live on YouTube all the time. And I hope you have a great day. And that's Rockin' Recovery. Keep rocking your recovery. Keep doing the damn thing. And Matt, I'm proud of you, bro.
Thank you, Jay.
And we're out.